I'm here with an industry veteran from the Sotogrande area, Charlie Gubbins from Knoll Sotogrande.
One of the reasons I'm here is because I speak Spanglish, okay, Spanish and English. I'm actually born in Nicaragua. My mother's from Nicaragua, my father's from Chile, and my great-grandfather immigrated from Ireland. So I really have an Irish descent from one side and Spanish descent from the other. My surname is Gubbins Sevilla. So, from Andalusia would be my grandfather from my mother's side. And in 1971, we lived in Chile, and the politics of the situation were such that my father's bank was nationalized. So I finished my education in the UK and managed to have a British passport because my grandfather was born in Ireland before independence. And the lifestyle of a young boy, 14, getting into adolescence, wasn't what I really liked in the UK. I mean, the guys are still playing marbles when over there I was still thinking about starting chasing girls. So I wanted to get out. I wanted to get out of the UK. I wanted to do something like my father had done, being an international banker, but his friends were people from Procter & Gamble, Coca-Cola, BAT. And what I did was actually study international marketing and managed to get a job working for a tobacco company, which then started sending me abroad. I started life working in Africa. I worked in 3 or 4 countries there. Then I went back to the UK, made sure I had 1 nose, 2 ears and all that sort of stuff. I went out to Saudi Arabia. I came back, then came to Spain. I ran Spain for a while for this tobacco company called Gallagher's, then to Ireland. So I've been an expat all my life. I was in New Zealand when BAT and Rothmans merged, and then I left the industry, probably the right time because my kids were growing up and they were asking me was I a good guy or a bad guy, which is a bit embarrassing. So I decided to go back to the UK. It was .com time, and sitting under a desk with 2 young kids with a bit of grey hair next to them didn't appeal to me. For a long time, and just as well because .com it all went down. Went back to what I knew. Worked for Reckitt Benckiser in West Africa, and then in Latin America again in Colombia, where I was head of business. And sadly, they came for me, not me, my position, the bad guys in Colombia, and I decided to jump ship. And I came to where I had a place in Sotogrande, which I'd known since the late 70s because I met Gibraltarians in London at university, and they introduced me to this part of the world. And that's how Spanglish brings me back to Spanglish with these guys,
So you've had a very corporate life before what you do now.
Absolutely, yes. I mean, it was FMCG, and when I was general manager of the companies, analysts to report to. In the tobacco world, it's very different, of course, because, in New Zealand, for example, the Prime Minister would wheel me down and say, you, the tobacco guy with 70% market share, can you talk to the health guy and talk to the finance guy and sort things out, please? I still want my income, but I want incidence of smoking to come down. So those are the sort of problems, which weren't what I was all about. I was sales and marketing, and tobacco was images and dreams and fast cars and all that sort of stuff. And it suddenly became, I should have been a legal guy, not a marketing guy. So yeah, it was not attractive at the time.
So now you're a real estate expert in the Sotogrande area. You work for Knoll Sotogrande. Tell us a little bit about business.
Sure. I mean, when I arrived, we started with Stephanie, my partner and partner, in 2008, which was not a good time to start anything in real estate. But because of a little bit of a background in terms of understanding finance and marketing and sales, I read out a back of an envelope plan, and one of those things said, must have low overheads. If you don't have low overheads, you are going to fail in any business, of course. And that's what happened. I saw in 2008 all the big companies just close up. The big offices, lots of staff, everything else, and all went pear-shaped. And for the first 2 years, I realized that there was a lot of low-lying fruit as far as I was concerned. There was very little marketing activity in the real estate world in Sotogrande, and that it took very little effort, a little bit of finance, of course, to get a foothold in the market, and then go on and do well. And fortunately, we've been able to do well, and it's just being disciplined in terms of what you need to do, and we stuck to it, and we've yielded some fruit from that.
That's amazing. I mean, so going back to corporate, so the experience that you had in the corporate world, high level running businesses, big businesses, that must have helped you set up.
Absolutely, yeah. It's all the same thing, really. You know, it's all about you know, selling something, making some people wanting it, you know, giving you good service, you know, getting your money in, making sure you're not spending more than you're earning in terms of your overheads and your marketing, and you know, have a plan that takes it out. And you know, as I said, I saw gaps in the market. I mean, people call me Charlie in Sotogrande because I know I'm 5 Mile famous. You know, I mean, Sotogrande people know me, and that's because I got onto social media before anybody else. And still today, I think I'm the only one doing it to the extent that it's happening. Yeah, people are doing video tours and that sort of thing, but you know, you've got to get out there. And you know, I'll urge all my competitors to go out there because it'll be good for Sotogrande itself.
Of course. Now, I know Sotogrande from years back as well, just like you, because I'm in the finance business. Gibraltar was a big player before the crisis. So I used to spend a lot of time in Gibraltar talking to banks there.
Yeah.
And I obviously saw how the Sotogrande area was financed. And after 2008, I did see that Sotogrande suffered quite badly when the banks started leaving Gibraltar. What was Sotogrande like 10, 15 years ago when you started? Well,
when I started, I mean, I've seen it grown, obviously, in that time. And I knew Sotogrande 1978, I think I first visited, you know, and then, you know, the marina was just being built, the port area, all that was under construction and coming out of the ground. So it has developed over time. But Sotogrande, for me, has changed because of the direction that the owner, Sotogrande SA, who owns what has not been sold, has done. Okay, so you know, I think originally it was McMicken with his own vision in terms of creating Sotogrande what it was, with the palm trees and that sort of US look, the wide avenues and all of that. You know, then followed by, you know, as most entrepreneurs do, once they reach a certain point, they float, and it became Financiera Sotogrande, and then I don't know exactly who. When I arrived, NH Hotels had it. You know, NH Hotels are known for having very good 4-star hotels in cities with a clean bathroom, clean sheets for businessmen to go in and get out. So they really didn't have much of a resort idea, in my opinion. And then when Sotogrande was bought by Cerberus and Orion, the current owners, I think things began to change because they saw it as a long-term investment, and you know, that coupled with, of course, things getting better in the macroeconomic situation of the world made things much easier for the whole thing to take off. And there's some real investment behind what was going on. I mean, there were obviously some what I call teething issues between, you know, understanding what Sotogrande is all about by these two big companies, to the point that Cerberus pulled out and you know, sold their share out because they wanted to flip things, and that's what they do, and that's their strategy. Whereas Orion, being more, I think, long-term thinkers, you know, had more of a long-term vision for it, and still are the owners. Although we always hear rumors that someone's going to buy it, you know, which I suppose that's what they do. You know, they improve things, and then, you know, prices go up, and they can take a turn on it.
I've been impressed with the way Sotogrande has recovered from 2008 crash. Obviously, I'm mainly based in Marbella area, but I've always had an eye on the Sotogrande area, and as you know, we've invested into the area because we see so much value there. I've been impressed with that it hasn't really lost its identity, because as you say, there's been a lot of change of ownership. But Sotogrande has a different identity. Yeah. So the question then is,
what's the difference?
You know, what are the core differences? I know Marbella is a bit more famous, news. I would say Sotogrande is a bit more conservative. Am I right? So in your opinion, someone that lives there, breathes it.
Yeah, I mean, there are two ways of looking at it. I think, I mean, even Sotogrande SA, when they bought it, Orion bought Sotogrande SA, and the Reserva, which is part of it, they copied the DNA of Sotogrande up there because they couldn't actually influence it down on the Costa side by the sea. So they built their own beach. They built their own golf course. They built their own paddle clubs. They built their own, you know, and it's very much a la Americana, if you like, where you have a resort and you have all these things for those people. Now, whether they've succeeded at that or not, I don't know. But originally, Soto Grande was about, wealthy families, wealthy, perhaps British families, a bit of blue blood in there, it was all, and people would entertain themselves. Families would entertain themselves. Today we go to so-and-so's house for lunch, then for dinner to another house, and that's how they spend the summer. They get up in the morning, they go to the beach, then they play polo, play golf, and it was amongst themselves. The rumor has it that Sean Connery wasn't allowed to buy a house because he would bring paparazzi. If he brought paparazzi, these people wouldn't want to be there. Well, that's true or not, I don't know. But Soto Grande has, the new guys have kept that DNA by bringing it up there into a thing. But for me, the biggest difference today is that you can't compare them, because Soto Grande is not a town. Soto Grande is not a place where you have what you have in Marbella. Okay, you don't have shops, you don't have a Corte Inglés, you don't have these, you got a Corte Inglés supermarket. And as such, I believe now Soto Grande is a district of Marbella. Something also that Soto Grande SA did, because when they started using the word Marbella and Soto Grande, and selling Soto Grande and selling Soto Grande as a district of Marbella, those two keywords really went up the ladder, and made people realize, oh, there is Ben Hamis, there is Almina, there is thing, and there is Soto Grande. So, what's happening there? So, that made a big change. When I first came here, I landed in Malaga and started driving along the coast. It was nearly 3 hours to get there. Today we have an infrastructure that is so good. I come out of here, I'll be in my desk in 30 minutes. When I had a house in Barnes, I want to get to Hammersmith across the river, that was 40 minutes, and I could see the place, so it's up the road, it's not an issue. And what I'm seeing today is people that were here, 30 years ago, 40 years ago in their 30s, today are 60 and 70, and they're going to Soto Grande because this place is not what they wanted it to be when they first came here. They wanted that tranquility, all that stuff that Soto Grande can offer. But, people coming there, particularly international people, Scandinavians, Poles, Lithuanians, they come there and say, well, where do we go to enjoy ourselves? Says, well, you can do whatever you want here, which is your horse, your golf, your whatever, but you can go to a nightclub in Marbella and come back. You can go to a restaurant in Marbella and come back. Those people that lived here can go and live there and could come back to their favorite restaurant. They can be sitting in the seat with us in 30 minutes, 40 minutes, meet their friends and go back to and wake up in this thing. The pandemic has helped as well, okay, because of the low density. The way that Soto Grande is set out is that you have very low density properties, you have air. People can walk about, and many of the residents, many of the people that owned property spent the time out, during the COVID time in Soto Grande and realized this is a wonderful place in November. This is a great place, it's not just an August, a Christmas, and maybe an Easter place. So that has changed things as well. So I wouldn't say one is better than the other. I think they complement each other very well. I think it is a district of Marbella, albeit further away. Although I challenge someone in the Zagaleta to come down to a restaurant in Banús, and I'll be there before them. At certain times of the day, I certainly will. So it's that. You can't compare them. They're different.
They are different. And Soto Grande was built on a different philosophy. Obviously, polo, for example, that's big in Soto Grande and has been for years.
Yeah. It's a big thing because the Zobel family and Mercedes Zobel was married to McMicken. They from the Philippines originally, but they love polo, and little by little they're taking it up. Mora Figueroa, the other family that have the polo, the Santa Maria one, they are also very, very into it. And now I think it's 52, 53 years of having this international tournament, and it goes from Buenos Aires to Florida to Wellington to Guards to here, and then they go off somewhere to Brunei or to Dubai, and it's that circus that goes around the world. I call it one of the majors, like the tennis majors or the golf majors, and it makes Soto Grande very distinctive in the month of July and August because all these ponies are flown in from all over the world, and you get these people coming in, and it's a spectacle which is free. The polo world will happen no matter whether people come or not, because those people that play polo are so wealthy that they just do it for fun. Yeah. And if someone can come and watch it, perfect.
Now, I've noticed that as well. Soto Grande for me and the work that we've done there over the years has been very family orientated. Yeah. It hasn't really been investments like we've done here in this part of the world. Yeah. So the work that we've done has been helping families actually create a new life away from, say, London or somewhere like that. Do you see that? Is it very family?
Totally. I mean, I think one of the things I used to do a lot was psychographic segmentation, okay? And that's not by socioeconomic group, an A and the BB and the C and all that sort of thing. So psychographic segmentation is about understanding people's personalities, their attitudes, their risk factor, all of that. And when you're working about tobacco, you found people of all different socioeconomic groups fitted in the same segment when it comes to psychographic analysis. And I think it's the same. The people that go to Sotogrande are from a certain psychographic segment that are very similar. So they are families before everything else. So the security for the kids and where they go out, that's very important. So security and the kids. I don't want drugs around my kids, so that's better off in Sotogrande because, of course there's some of that there because it's everywhere in the world, but it's less of it. I can leave my kids at home and go out, a 12-year-old, and nothing's going to happen. It's safe. They can cycle everywhere. It's big avenues, that sort of thing. So that analysis that I did in my back on the envelope again sort of makes me believe that people want to go there, have that. And family is one of the very important things. The school there, of course, also adds up. It's one of the top schools in the area, with kids leaving there and going off to all big universities around the world. So it's we're blessed with that as well. That's one of what I call the anchors of Sotogrande: polo, golf, sailing, and the school.
And there's a lot of interest in Sotogrande at the moment. The market is, would you say it's hot down there?
I wouldn't say it's hot in the sense that I think it's a hot place that people are looking at as an alternative. We have a villa now for sale for 22 million. I mean, that was unheard of 4 or 5 years ago. We have another one for 15. We have another one for 12 that's just come on the market. So that size property wasn't around at the time, and so that's really raised the profile, and some of them due to the architects such as ARC, that have done a lot of work there and are delivering some very, very good product for people that want that sort of thing. And the fear was that the content that you needed for an urbanization to attract that sort of people wasn't there. Certainly wasn't there year round. Summer, the population goes up to 35,000, I suppose, something like that, from a annual, other times 8,000. So suddenly it's, we're heaving. But property markets have come up everywhere, and as people are more going to Sotogrande, it's okay. Funnily enough, one of the biggest question marks that I have is that my margin is being eroded, and that's being eroded because I am sharing more of my inventory. 95% of my inventory is direct. Yeah. I work like a UK, if you like, real estate agent. I'd like to be able to walk to all of my area of my influence. Most agents here, and I don't know, someone still said they quoted 3,000 agents along the Costa del Sol, use resales online, use all these things, and they don't understand exactly what they are they're selling. And I get them come, they call me, I show them, and they don't know the street names. They don't know where they are, and some of them are good. Some of them will say, look, I've done a recce, I came here on a Sunday and I walked around and I did the thing what we're going to see, thank you very much, blah, blah, blah. But others just turn up and wait. And I'm not going to say no to somebody that brings me a client, but although my volume may go up, my margin is coming down, which is a little bit of a concern. I think it's very important as an agent, particularly a vendor's agent, because that's principally what I have, is my own thing, although sales as well, is understanding what the community in which you're selling. I don't sell a house, I sell Sotogrande. That's why I do things on social media, places in Sotogrande, what's happening in the weekend in Sotogrande, all of that. And once they get traction on that, then we go. Even when they get to Sotogrande, there's an issue about where in Sotogrande, because there's a big place, it's 2,000 hectares. You have right at the very top, fantastic views, Gibraltar, Africa, the sea. And I sell to Scandinavians from there down and to Spaniards from the coast upwards, because some people want to be down below, don't care a hoot about views, but they want to be where the action is. Be able to, the famous Paseo del Parque, be able to cycle to the golf club, to the tennis club, to the, even to the polo on a polo day. So that's a mixture of what you have. But yeah, I focus and I understand Sotogrande intimately, and I'm able to help people. And that's where I think I add value to anyone coming, because we all say we You know, we're good at communication. We're very responsive. We all say we are the best at everything else. But you know, asking people questions and understanding what their requirement is and what they really want is where I add value. Because you know, this is a great plot. Just buy it. It's fine. So okay, bear in mind that in winter the sun's going to be there, and that this plot will have a lot of shade.
Yeah.
Oh. You know, and I do that because I'm going to meet them in the K-bar later on and say, you sold me a plot that has no sun in the winter. And I'd hate that. You know, I just, you know, I add value to people by that way. I think.
Yes.
I think.
Well, I think that point that you make is absolutely vital, and that's one of the reasons why, because we've invested in that area, is one of the reasons why I wanted to bring you in, because I know how well you know that area. And I work with clients that we've worked on together, and that knowledge is absolutely invaluable, I think. And I think that you need to get that out there, and I want to help you do that.
Thank you.
Because from our perspective, if a client is fully informed and knows exactly what they're doing, the whole process is going to be more successful.
Yeah.
It's actually, you know, rather than there's too many ifs and buts and grey bits.
Yeah. One of the big issues I have is that people come and think they can afford what they like, and they can't. And they don't realize that, I've got $1 million because I sold my house in London or in Paris or wherever. But hang on a minute, it's more than $1 million. There is taxes to pay. Okay, there is a survey to be done. There is a move to be done. There is all these things, and suddenly that $1 million becomes $1.3 million, and that takes them out. So, you know, one of the first questions I ask people is, have you sorted out your finances? It's a delicate question to ask because, you know, but I'm thick-skinned enough now to ask it, and if they get upset, I'm sorry, this is the reason you're getting a, you know, I've had too many bad cases of people getting to the point of saying, let's make an offer, agree an offer, and then they go off to the bank.
Yeah.
And they come back and realize they're done. You know, so everyone's disappointed, everybody's wasted time. But you know, getting to know someone like yourself and what you do is, you know, absolutely number one of the things that they need to do. So one of the top 3 things anyway.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, the money side, I would say, is number one.
Yeah.
Find out how the money
Yeah.
side of it works, and then go and look.
Otherwise, you're just dreaming.
What are the trends of new development? Because we need more property,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But what are the trends that you see?
I think that the 3 things to consider. One is that the big houses are being built in La Reserva particularly, so there is a growth of that, okay? Whether it's, and the finances must make sense, the macroeconomic situation of the global system must make sense. Promoters buy, build, sell, make a margin. But you or I could go buy a plot, have a friendly architect builder, and save ourselves 25% of the cost of that other one. So, you know, people just don't want to bother and are happy to pay that thing. That's one thing. So La Reserva is growing, and you know, the 15, which is the very, very expensive plots at the top that Sorrento are doing, and 7, they are beginning to get some traction. The other thing that's happening is that Sorrento is 60 years old.
Yeah.
Okay. And because it's 60 years old, some of the best plots down on the Costa side have 60-year-old houses.
Yeah.
And they need refurbishment, but most architects would say it's cheaper to knock it down and start again. So you're seeing regeneration of the, you know, the kings and queens area of Sotogrande, and that's another trend that's happening now. And yes, there is, you know, my grandson is going to come in because he wants to come here all the time. So it's a bit of a family thing. But also we get, you know, international people coming in and doing exactly that because they want to be down there. Then, of course, Sotogrande is finite. Yeah, so there's very little space now for anything new. So what we're having is new builds, particularly apartments, not necessarily all in Sotogrande, but so in San Roque, which is right next to it, we're seeing there some apartments coming up. And Alcaidesa, which is also very close to Sotogrande, which is, you know, right down by the beach. There are huge developments going on there. I mean, there's a big Millennium are building a big hotel, which is going to be managed by Fairmont, which is also the same people that own the Sotogrande, or trying to own it. They have leased it off Sotogrande SA. So, you know, you got new builds going in, you got the regeneration of the lower side, and then you got the big villas coming in. So all of that is there. So I've got something to sell to my psychographic segment at all levels of money. Yeah. So, you know, if you want to play golf but you can only afford a 400,000 apartment, you can come to Sotogrande. If you want to play golf and want to be a member of Valderrama and, you know, have all these live guys come in and, you know, wow, you know, you can buy a big villa in Torregrande. And you know, so if you are a traditional person that wants to be in the Costa side, blah blah blah, well, we can do something there for you as well.
Our office is in Pueblo Nuevo de Guadalajara, which is an amazing place, rife for investment, I believe. And also we have right next door is Torre Guadalajara, which again is ripe for investment, I believe. Do you see that?
Yes, and I believe there have been some people buying pieces of land above Torre Guadalajara particularly. Pueblo Nuevo, I think, is a village, which is a village. You know, when you buy a big piece of land, you give back to the town all 10% or the value of 10% of the land. Micken gave back that piece, and Pueblo Nuevo was created. And I hear and read somewhere that it was per capita the richest village in Spain at some point because everybody servicing Torregrande lived there. Yeah. You know, the gardeners, the plumbers, the electricians. That's how it was created. But it's a Spanish village and very quaint, and you know, many. You know, foreigners that live there love to go and have a coffee in Moncayo there because it's a traditional thing to do and you see the world going around. But even that now is getting saturated, and there's a project to put a underground car park under the plaza, which, you know, will halt everything there for a while. So, but you know, it's a good project to have. But investment, people are looking for land all the time. I mean, I've got someone coming to see me next Friday who is from Gibraltar looking for, you know, big pieces of land around Torregrande that I can maybe help them with. I'm not sure I can, but maybe I can.
Well, I'm sure you can, actually. Thank you very much, Charles.
Very good. Thank you, Mark. I appreciate it as well. And yeah, I'll do my own penny's worth of getting you onto social media as well.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.